Hello everyone, welcome to this slightly different video where once again I get my thoughts out there in terms of what potentially we could do to Gran Turismo Sport to maybe improve it, change it, or get our teeth stuck right into it. Because if you didn't know, Gran Turismo 7 is expected now in 2022. That's over a year away basically. I was probably expecting first quarter, so we're slap bang in the first quarter of 2021. Let's just say it's a year away for 2022. We don't have an official release date per se, but 2022 has been given. Now, that's a long time to wait for before content even appears, to be honest. So as you can tell by the title, the thumbnail of course, they have me thinking, what tracks could we get in Gran Turismo fairly quickly that are arguably already in the game that we just can't race or just aren't there? So this is what this video is all about. Tracks which we can't race, which would be nice to race and give us a little bit of a new content, while it's still a little bit like the old, it's still a little bit like the new. Bit weird, I know. Let's jump straight into it. First up then, we head to Yamagawa, and you can see I'm on Miyabi at the moment, but do you notice anything wrong in this picture? We have Yamagawa on Yamagawa 2. We have Yamagawa plus Miyabi, and Yamagawa plus Miyabi 2. We have Miyabi. Oh, where's Miyabi 2? Well, that's the first one that I'm just going to suggest straight off the bat. Yes, it's a bit of a small track, and it'll only be for like an MX-5 or a go-kart. So I'm going to jump to an MX-5 driving now. So Miyabi 2, that's not in the game for some reason. I have no idea. It seems very easy to add. The pit lane is on the left. It's very easily enterable, and you can exit accordingly. So why isn't it in? I actually don't know the answer. Now, arguably, the overtaking, or the places to overtake reduces by 1, or by half I would say, because the first corner forward isn't that good. But we also raced this track already. Like at Yamagawa plus Miyabi, we raced this track backwards. So it seems to me that it's already there. The feasibility is there, it exists. And also on top of that, you could take out the chicane if you really wanted to. When going backwards or going forwards. Maybe that's another track, I don't know. But we'll talk about chicanes afterwards. But Miyabi 2, there you have it. First track I'm going to suggest. Let's get that in there. Have some N100, 200, 300 races, or even go-karts. And maybe you can take the chicane out as well, and you can have some interesting fun there. Small little track. There's number 1. Next up then, as you can see, we're doing a similar little situation here. You've got Suzuka, which is a full circuit. We all know it. We all like it. Well, most of us like it anyway. But we have Suzuka East. Now, what's the opposite to East? Let me think about this. Oh, yes, West. Where is Suzuka West? Well, let's just add that to the game. Let me jump to some footage of me driving Suzuka West on GT Sport. So here we are on this straight right before the 130R. Nice and easy, you know this part of the circuit. Everybody knows this part. So you're going to whiz through the left-hander here, just clipping it and hopefully not lifting as late as I did there. But this is where it gets tricky. It's a really hard corner this, so you brake around here. And it's a really sharp right-hander, like super sharp. You come back on yourself here. You're going to head towards the tyres and go through them there and carry on. So that's how you do the Suzuka West circuit. Obviously, we're going to fast forward this now to get you all the way back to where we were before, because you know this part of the lap already. You know, this is all a part of the GP circuit. But I think Suzuka West could be quite a nice little circuit for, again, some touring car-esque sort of racing. As you can see, this is where the finish line would be. You've got the marshal box on the right side. You can wave the flag. It's all pretty much there in the game already. However, if we go back a little bit here, the one critical thing which is different to Miyabi 2, I suppose, is the pit lane and the pit entry here, because it's really tight. It's obviously very old school, and you can see it's fully barricaded off here. I suppose they could remove that barrier quite easily and then potentially program it in. However, if you want realism, the problem then is, as we just get to this pit box here, look, the pit box is just so tiny there. Can you really get a lot of cars in? I don't know. But hey, another track would be nice, so I'm whacking Suzuka West right in there. Here we are then at Catalunya, which well, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you're about to find out. Catalunya has two very significant layouts. You've got the Grand Prix layout, of course. Caveat, there is a MotoGP version of Catalunya as well, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. However, there is a national circuit here. So what you're going to do is just before you get anywhere near turn 1, you're braking this early. And actually, the national circuit goes around there. So it cuts out that sort of left-hand side of the circuit that you can see on the map there. So the chicane, the first chicane around the long right-hander, round the second right-hander, into the sharp left-hander, and then you join it back over there. Now you can see in front of me here, it's already modelled, it's already laid out there. You can see the curbing. So is this something they want to automatically put in this game? because that'd be kind of nice, to be honest. You know, a very different Catalunya, very different feeling, I'm sure. It might bring out more of the FR cars potentially, because you're losing that handling section in the first area there. You know, that is very handling significant to get round. A lot of understeer in FR cars. You know, it could, I think it would be quite nice to get that in. I'm not sure why it's not in already. I would assume it's to do with licenses, and Catalunya potentially wanting a license for each variation, because as we get down here, obviously you've got the outer section here. I've just paused it here. You've got the outer section that could be used there, which could add some more different racing, different kinds of racing, potentially different moves, because obviously it's more of a long sweeper or sharper sweeper than this very sharp left-hander. Again, something extra that could be added to Catalunya as we then come through the right-hander. Now, of course, that's more talking about the MotoGP layout of Catalunya, and same again when we get up to here, because obviously Catalunya, you can go that way, which we saw quite often in the daily races initially when this game came out, or you've got the sharp chicane. Now, it'd be quite nice to have that long, sort of rounded section as a last section to the circuit, to be honest. I think it brings some quite unique racing. So, there you go. Another circuit that I think we could add to the game there. Catalunya National Circuit, plus maybe some little extras with the different layouts of the full circuit and National Circuit to boot. Well, look at what we have here. We're at Monza. Now, Monza obviously has the oval, but that's no longer used, so we're not counting the oval. Put that to the side. However, Monza does have an additional circuit. We're on it right now, and we already have a working pit lane as we go past it right there. So, in theory, this should be okay. However, this part of the circuit isn't as modelled as, let's say, the Catalunya part or Suzuka West potentially. This really isn't modelled that well, which I would assume is because they never wanted to put this in the game. However, we have the junior circuit, which you can see go off here. It doesn't look very good here in terms of this, but I have raced it on other games as well. And I've just put the track map up there. So you can see it's an overarching sort of like nearly a 180 back on yourself into a slight left, and then a 90-ish, I'm going to put ish in quote marks there, right onto the back straight, then up to the parabolica and back round again. Very small circuit. It's actually really fun when you race this. As I say, I've raced this in a different game. We raced in Clio Cup cars, I think it was. It was brilliant fun, because this first corner, very hard to get right, because it's so tight. And obviously you've got such a fast pace coming off the parabolica into that braking zone. We've just advanced to the other side here, and look at this. You can see where that left comes in, and then this is where you would come back on the circuit. We're just after Ascari here. So where on Ascari, where you come through it normally at fast pace, you've got the gravel into sort of that open part of tarmac. That's a part of this circuit. You can see that right there, and that's how you will come back onto the circuit. It's really open as well. Allows for good little different lines to come on here and allow for overtaking basically. And it'd be another good shout as well to get that Monza junior circuit on, I reckon. It'd take a little bit more work, as I say. It's not really well done there, but in theory it shouldn't take that much work. I mean, surely there's some photos there. I don't know. I'm not a track modeler, but there we go. Another circuit there and ready for you there. Monza Junior Circuit. Oh look, we're at the Le Mans. Now, most of you will guess where we're going with this one. We start the track as normal, but this is very much more a GT3 track that we're going for here. Not necessarily a small one, and one that I actually think might be quite balanced if it was in GT Sport, if I'm honest. It's got a lot of fast stuff in there and a lot of sweeping stuff, which obviously handling cars for the sweeping, a lot of straights for the fast stuff. But anyway, you're going to head down this hill and then go towards the right hand side and keep going towards the right. Yes, we are heading to the Bugatti circuit at Le Mans, and basically with the track map in the top right you can see how it works. So obviously we're just at the middle part of this curve here. You'd carry on round into then a left, which is a similar corner, then flat out towards a 90 right, and then a 90 right again, and then flat out to a chicane, and then into sort of like a sweeping right, sweeping left, and then the sharp right, double right-hander at the very end. Now, this track I have raced on another game again, and it presents some interesting racing. You really have to think about your overtakes, obviously, between the 90 right and then the chicane. Double 90 into then the straight and then chicane is what I mean. Good overtaking spot there. You got the good overtaking spot from the normal Le Mans circuit that you're all used to at the surface. We just advanced a bit further towards the end of the circuit. So this is where that 90 right would come in. We're obviously at the very end of the 4 chicanes here, and what you would then do is then go forward and then into that last 90 right there, and then that'll obviously be the end of the lap. And obviously you're cutting out a lot of the Le Mans circuit there, but obviously that presents more of an interesting racing circuit, I suppose. It allows you to race GT3 cars in a bit better way, I would say, but I would I would think there's a lot of modelling to do there, and that wouldn't be a straightforward circuit. But even so, you know, the Bugatti circuit, certainly half of it's done with the pit lane. Maybe get the other half done, I don't know, but another shout out for that one. Here we are then at the Nurburgring. Now, I've talked about this specific track that I really want included in the game because it's one of my favourites before in quite a few of my streams. However, the track starts as normal, of course. There's plenty of little layouts you could change here. So obviously heading towards turn 1, you potentially could just take out the entire arena section here and just do the chicane that you do on the 24-hour layout, for example, and then carry on doing the GP circuit. That's one layout you potentially could do. There's lots of variations here with just this GP section. I'm not talking about the Nords and all that random stuff out there in the mountains and the hills of the Eiffel Mountains. We continue on anyway through this left-hander, doing the arena section, of course, as we go through this left and then through the right. I'm not doing any huge times here. It's the worst lap in the world. Anyway, you head down towards here, and what we're actually going to do is the short circuit here. So we're actually going to slow down and go for the right. Now, this is one of my favourite circuits. I used to love this in, I think it was GT5 and GT6 maybe. It might have been both. But it was brilliant for sort of like Group 4 would be amazing. This circuit would be spot on for Group 4 because you basically go down here and there's this hairpin and it's modelled. You can see the racing lines in there as well. It's like it was meant to be in the game, but they just didn't say active equals yes. Because honestly, I would love this track in this game. This is one of my... I just want it. PD, if you even watch this, put this in the game, please. It surely isn't that hard. And if it's a licensing thing, Nurburgring, just give it them. My word, it's a corner. Just give it them. They've got the rest of the circuit already. Anyway, you continue out there. And the good thing is, obviously, you go out wide here to have to come back across. It's brilliant. Honestly, I absolutely love it. So then we continue on. I'm actually going to advance the lap, or continue this lap, because I want to talk about something else in the game, which is a little bit frustrating, I would say. You know, you might agree with me, or you might disagree with me, I'm not sure. And it's all to do with this chicane coming up. Now, obviously, in F1, they use this chicane, which is why I'm assuming it's in as this chicane. But as far as I'm aware, in GT3, they use the other chicane. Obviously, on the 24-hour layout, that's also the chicane we use as well, the faster chicane. Now, I personally hate this chicane. It's really pet peeve of mine, let's put it that way, because it's all about getting the look of the cut, and it actually causes quite a lot of accidents, whereas the fast-paced chicane could actually allow you to have some decent overtaking into the last corner. And I personally would like the other one over this one. What do you think about that? But that's a Nurburgring short circuit that potentially, you know, could get in the game. Very easy to add, very simple, based on what we've just shown you there. Now, what's the final one that we're going to look at? Well, we're at Saint-Croix, or Croissant if you've been on this channel before. And yes, you can see on here we have Saint-Croix and A2, B and B2. I don't know why I'm speaking in this accent. C and C2. So obviously 6 circuits, obviously 3, but with reverse in there on there as well. However, I believe there are more circuits here. Let me explain. There you see A, B and C in top left. You see where we're going with this, right? Well, what happens if we combine some of these circuits? You notice A is the bottom bit. It's very different to B and C. Well, we've combined B here first, actually. B and A combined. The top half of A, the bottom half of B, we get D. And then, what happens if we combine B and A? Oh, look at this. I think this would be a cracking little circuit, by the way, this E. However, I think we can continue here just a little bit more. Suddenly we have layout F, which is very good indeed. Look at that. So we combined C with A there. We then go to G, which is a combination of C and B. So quite quickly, we're getting some quite unique circuits. Now, it could become a bit repetitive, I've got to admit, but obviously we're getting a lot of layouts here. We go to H here, which H is a mixture of B and the bottom of C. So imagine that straight. That's unbelievable. And then we get the final massive one, the Nurburgring of it all. We get I, which is a combination of top half of A and bottom half of C. So that would be 6 additional circuits on top of the other ones we've suggested, which adds up to, in fact, I don't know how much, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right, that's 12, hang on. We said GT7 is 12 months away. They could do 1 a month. And to be honest, I'd be quite happy with 1 a month, to be honest. It gives you something new to try, you know, a little bit different, a little bit, you know, even if it went like 1 of Saint-Croix, and then let's just say Miyabi 2, and then another Saint-Croix, and then Suzuka West, and Catalunya, then another Saint-Croix. You quite quickly, you'd be like, oh wow, I'm actually getting quite a lot of circuits, quite a lot of content here, and it's relatively easy for them. The pit lane's already done on this circuit, isn't it, really? But that is a look at some of the circuits. Now, of course, there are some other circuits where you could add additional chicanes. Tsukuba, Interlagos. We talked about Catalunya chicanes and Nurburgring chicanes. I'm sure there are others out there as well. There's potentially gardens linking with Seaside in there at some point because they're right next to each other. There's, you know, there is that possibility there as well. But lots of little differences that could be made just to give us that fresh little content to push us over towards GT7 and 2022. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. A really fun one to make. I've thoroughly enjoyed making this. It really just, you know, tests my Photoshop skills, but also just, you know, allowing to get my thoughts out there and, you know, just looking at the content. There's quite a lot in there, and we don't actually use a lot of the tracks anyway. But as I say, I do hope you enjoyed this one. If you did like it, please give it a like, and if you want more content, of course, you can hit subscribe and all that good stuff. But that's going to be it for me now, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in another video or live stream very soon.